Today is Tuesday, April 28th. The time is 7:30. I'll call this meeting to order. I'd like to remind everyone that we are being taped and streamed by WMCT-TV. I have everyone rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. Dive right in with the superintendent and the assistant superintendent of student services and equity report.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Tonight, we have a little bit of a different kind of spin in our agenda. We have a bit of a joint presentation this evening. As you know, we've spent a lot of time this year talking about our student services work. There's tremendous work happening in across our district and our student services space. We're always looking at ways to refine and to improve our service delivery to students. And so tonight we're going to have a few different updates, ranging from some new tools that we're bringing on board and some new programs that we're excited to be launching, we hope, in the fall. But with all of that, we're going to turn this over to Ms. O'Brien, who's going to lead the way.
Thank you. I am going to switch the order of my presentations. We're just running into a little bit of technical difficulty with Lindsay's presentation. So while she's trying to figure out that, I'm going to jump into the K-8 pause program. And let me just share my screen.
If it ends up not firing up, I have hard copies.
Okay.
We need them.
So we are excited to be able to present the PAUSE program, which will be a K-8 special education therapeutic program that we are looking to put together for next year and have that located at the Hildreth School. The reasons why Director Special Ed John Fletcher and I had started looking into this was because part of special ed's goal is to have students in the least restrictive setting environment. And sometimes that is in a substantially separate program. And sometimes that is in and out of district placement. So we've had between 2022 and 2025, we've had 15 students in the K-8 grade range go to out of district placements. And that was despite having many resources within the schools, at the school level to have access. We just had a number of students that just needed more than what we could provide within the school setting, within the in-district programs. So 15 students from 22 to 25. And this year alone, we've had 10 students going out of district K-8 with 3 on the waiting list. So we really need to be able to build our capacity within the district and have other options for students that are not able to be successful within one of our elementary schools or within Wickham. And therefore, we are putting together this program. The purpose, one of the purposes of this program will be to have that option for students who are not successful within one of our elementary schools or Wickham, but also part of the goal will be to have those students be able to transition back to their home school. Another scenario might be that the student needs that program to be successful and will remain in that program. If that is the case, we anticipate that we would be adding grades 9 through 12 for any students like at the middle school level that show that they demonstrate that they still need that level of support. This is also going to be an option for students that are in currently out of district placements to be able to transition and have a stepping stone for them to come back in district if they still needed a small therapeutic setting, but be able to have that within our own community. And in the future, we would also have the option later on of being able to, if we had capacity, to be able to tuition in students from other schools. We've had a lot of difficulty in the last couple of years, not just our district, but other districts as well, being able to find placements. There's been long waiting lists at many of the therapeutic programs, whether or not it's collaborative or private day. So this is definitely an area of need. And I also know that Superintendent DeFalco is working with Aspet Valley Collaborative on having a subgroup, a subcommittee looking at an elementary program within our collaborative, because we currently don't have one. So the PAUSE program stands for Perseverance, Achievement, Wellness, and Success. And we're looking to be able to have a safe, structured environment, a smaller environment that will be highly therapeutic and have a consistent therapeutic model throughout the entire school day. So that would be, from the students' core classes to having SEL instruction during lunch, during recess, and be able to have blocks of time to be able to work on self-regulation and coping strategies and really build up their skill set. And so that would be through individualized evidence-based supports. We're also looking to have strong family partnerships to be able to work together to help the students, and as well as their self-regulation. We're also looking to build up their academic and social success. So the mission statement is to have build strong, trusting relationships. We want to empower students to be able to develop those self-regulation skills, the independence, responsibility, and confidence. And we look to be able to partner closely with the families and guardians and a multidisciplinary team to have a cohesive and a culturally responsive environment, and really have a community setting. And you'll hear like a community environment later on when Sarah Casey presents about the 8 to 12 program at the high school. This, the purpose I already went through. So the students that will be eligible would be, this is only for special education students. It would be through an IP team process. The IP team would determine whether or not the student needed a highly structured therapeutic setting, and would make that determination as far as they've done everything that they could with supports and services within the school, and they're not able to meet the students' needs, and therefore this may be an option for the students. The eligibility would be based on evaluation data, looking at the history, and we have a referral process that we've developed that the IP team would follow, and that would involve the director of special education. We will have an educational team leader that will be supporting the PAUSE program, as well as a BCBA will be involved in looking at the criteria for the student. We do want to make sure that all supports at the building level have been exhausted before looking for a referral to this program or an out-of-district program, and that's part of our obligation as far as making sure that we're having students in the least restrictive setting. Students that would not be eligible for this program would be generally students who are already in one of our sub-separate comprehensive programs, whether or not that's Pathways or Connections. If we have students that in those programs that we are not able to meet their needs, and typically it might be because of more physically aggressive needs, those students most likely will be referred to an out-of-district program because the behavior isn't due to therapeutic difficulties and challenges, it's due to other disability-related concerns. So we are also not, this would not be intended for students who are expelled from their home school. The entry criteria, again, will be based on the IP team, and that will be in collaboration with the PAUSE program staff. So program staff might go and do observations of the student as part of the referral process, and collaborate with the family as well. There would be weekly standing meetings that would be held with the PAWS staff to review referrals and be able to develop a plan as far as going out and collaborating with the school that is making the referral. The student would need a more comprehensive separate therapeutic program and a more robust PBIS system. So the program would have its own positive behavior interventions and supports, just more comprehensive and thorough across the entire school day compared to what you would find in one of our school buildings. There would also, we would also make sure that a comprehensive behavior plan had been implemented, and that despite those interventions that the student still has challenges. And we're also looking at data as far as frequent disruptions of instruction within the classroom setting. That's has a significant effect on learning, whether or not that's for the individual student or the class that they are in and impacting other students' learning. So that will be taken into consideration as well. Students will be assessed in the following domains before, during, and after it's part of the PAWS program interventions. We'll be looking at behavioral regulation, emotional regulation, social skills and peer interactions, academic engagement, generalization of skills, independence and support needs, and crisis management and safety. So there'll be criteria and a scale where we'll be doing like a baseline, and then once the student is within the program, that will be the monitoring, progress monitoring, as far as looking to see improvements in any of those areas. Each student will have individual academic programming and targeted and structured. They'll have their own individual behavior plans and therapeutic supports that will be wrapped around a total therapeutic program. We'll be looking to develop essential skills, and with the ultimate goal is always to try to get the students ready to be successful in transitioning back to their home school. That's always the goal. That's the goal with students in out-of-district placements as well, and especially with our littles. The students at the elementary level, in my experience, has been that when they're provided with intense supports early on in developing those those coping strategies, that we have better success transitioning them back into their home school versus students who are getting those intensive supports later on in middle school and high school. Our academics, we will be utilizing HMH materials. We'll be using the same materials that the students would be receiving or using within their elementary and middle school levels. For English and math, we'll be using HMH. Social studies, we'll be using investigating histories, and science will be doing Open SciEd. And throughout this process, the planning process, we'll be collaborating closely with the Office of Teaching and Learning and making sure that we have professional development supports for our special education teachers on making sure that they are still meeting grade level expectations and students are having high instruction with grade level materials. For return criteria, there'll be a rubrics on those areas that I had listed earlier, and there'll be a continuous supports. There'll be a tool to collect data in those areas. And then we will be looking at like a fading plan and a transition plan back to their home school whenever the student is determined to be ready to transition back. Some of those transitions might include maybe a paraprofessional that's in the PAWS program, potentially going with the student back to their home school for a period of time as they get acclimated, and then that staff person would return back to Hildreth for the program. For staffing, we have an interdisciplinary team that would be trained on comprehensive de-escalation strategies. They'll be all trained on crisis prevention Institute training, which Lindsay Castro will be giving more details in her presentation. As far as staff, we will have Director of Alternative Education, the educational team leader. That's currently the ETL that is supporting our out-of-district students and some caseload at the high school. That ETL will transition to supporting, continue to support out-of-district, but will be supporting the Hildreth program as well as a second backup administrator to the Director of Alt Ed. We are looking to have a BCBA on staff, 2 school adjustment counselors, 6 special education teachers, 1 per classroom, and in the next couple slides, I'll go through that configuration. We could need an additional teacher depending on the kindergarten population. That's an unknown. We do have a number of first grade of current kindergartners going into first grade. That may be an entire class in itself, depending on what the IEP team determinations are. We are looking for 12 paraeducators. There'd be 2 in each of the classrooms. A nurse, PE health teacher, front office support staff, custodian. An EL teacher would depend on the needs of the students. And that may be current EL teachers from our existing staff, maybe going over part of their workday over to Hildreth to provide services. And then we are still working on other elective teachers depending on where current art, music, and engineering, as far as what those sections look like at the elementary level and where we might be able to free up some spots for them to come over and provide instruction at Hildreth. So the proposed student schedule, to start, we are with what our anticipated enrollment is with students that are at risk for going out of district. We're looking at having multi-grade levels at the K-5 levels. So there'd be a classroom for K and 1. And that's the classroom that we may need a second teacher depending on the number of students. Ideally, so we can have up to, legally up to 12 students, special education students with a teacher and 2 paraeducators. In collaborative programs and in most programs typically try to stay at 8, just because of the needs of the students. 12 students, along with that number of staff, students can tend to feed off each other. So having a lower number is more ideal. So our target is to try to stay within about 8 students within the classroom. So K-1, grades 2 to 3, and a grade 4 to 5 program classroom. And this is a proposed student schedule where students would come in at 8:55 and start with their teacher arrival. They would set their personal daily goals. During that time, they would have breakfast. After that, there would be a morning circle and SEL group. You would then have a period of time for ELA reading and writing. There'd be lunch, recess, math. Then there'll be a period of time for the PE, health, art, music, and social skills. That would rotate once per week for each of those areas. And then there'd be a science and social studies block that would alternate at the K and 1 and 2 and 3 level, and 4 and 5 as well. Ideally down the line, if 4th and 5th grade in the future ends up separating out as we expand numbers in classrooms, we would be looking to try and have 5th grade have a dedicated science and social studies time, similar to what they currently have at the elementary model. Right now, we are alternating those with the emphasis on really focusing on therapeutic supports. Then they would have an end-of-day check-in, and students would rate their effort meeting of their personal and daily goals. The 6th, 7th, and 8th grade would look a little bit different. Each of those grade levels would be separated out, and there'd be an ELA, math, science, and social studies would be separated out into their into individual class times. They would also have the PE, health, art, music, and social skills that would alternate throughout the week, once one elective per week. And then here we have an intervention block at the end of the day. And then after that, they would also have a time where they could rate their effort meeting of their personal daily goals and have a check-in before dismissal. For a proposed teacher schedule, it mirrors the student schedules for the most part. The teachers would arrive at 8:40. The staff schedule, the MEA schedule, would mirror the elementary schedule that is currently in the MEA contract. So their workday would be from 8:40 to 3:25. So they'll be arriving at work at 8:40 prior to student arrival at 8:55. Then they would go through following the student schedule. They would have a 30-minute lunch, and then after lunch, they would have a duty which may be supporting recess. Recess coverage and lunch coverage for students would be alternating with the paraprofessionals that will be over in the program. And we have not developed the paraprofessional schedules yet. Teachers would have prep time during the time that the students are going to electives. And then there would be an end of day check-in. And this is wrong. They have, oh, sorry, this is the elementary. They would have the end of day check-in, work with the students on rating their personal daily goals. And then after that, after students are dismissed, then they will have common planning time from 2:55 to 3:25 every day, where there'll be one day where it might be clinical rounds, another day where it's common planning time, working with the Office of Teaching and Learning around curriculum expectations. There may be another set day where it's working with Lindsay Castro, the supervisor of SEL, and the BCBA on behavioral strategies. And so we just feel it's really important to be able to have that dedicated time every day for the staff to be able to get together and make sure that we are supporting the students in a comprehensive therapeutic manner. The teacher schedule for 6th, 7th, and 8th would be different, where each teacher will be focused on a core content. So one teacher will be the ELA teacher for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. One will do 7th grade for math, will do math for 6th, 7th, and 8th, and one would do science for 6th, 7th, and 8th. Each of those teachers would then take a section of social studies across the board. One would take 6th grade, one would take 7th, and one would take 8th. After that, teachers would have an intervention block, work with the students on their daily goals, and then they also would have that same common planning time as the elementary K-5 teachers. Next steps, we are looking for the school committee to approve the PAWS program school and be able to direct us to be able to pursue a DESE application process. We did have a call with DESE today, where we did learn that for the 8 to 12 program that Sarah Casey will be presenting, that is a simpler process where it is applying for a alternative ed program code. The K-8 therapeutic special ed program is more involved, and I have a contact with DESE. It's a separate office where I need to find out what the details and what that entails as far as the application process for a public day special education school. By June 1st, we're hoping to have identification of the staff and be able to establish the school start date. During June, we are looking to order curriculum materials and supplies, identify building needs, working with Andy White on classroom furniture, if air conditioning, all of that basic stuff. July and August, what we would like to do is to be able to have possible staff meetings, maybe 2 to 3 days within the summer, where staff could come in. We would have them complete timesheets and be paid for that time. But we really would like to have that time for them to help with what does the PBIS look like, and be able to have input as to the culture and climate of the school. We also will be planning the week of August 24th, the 5 days before school starts, and what those staff activities would look like. And then June through September 2026, identifying the first students to enroll. And that is the presentation. I know that was a lot. So any questions? Okay, Catherine?
I know.
Thank you. Thank you for the thorough rundown of everything. I guess my first question was, when it hit me, was the pause, immediately up front. How is that going to work with how pause has been introduced specifically at Whitcomb? It's vastly different than obviously this. And I'm just kind of curious, only because that program has been going for a number of years now.
So I did not realize that we had that name for Whitcomb as far as the incentive programs. So we came up with this. We can definitely look to change the name. I'm not married to that. I think we can come up with other acronyms as well, so that it doesn't conflict or compete with an existing PBIS program.
I just was I'm not saying change one or the other. I just thought that it could be a point of confusion, I guess I would say.
Yes.
How about that? So leave it at that one. Approximately how many did you think? 50-ish, I'm guessing, based upon what you were talking about, because you were saying classroom sizes around 8 to potentially 12. So I'm
Correct.
wondering.
So for this year, we anticipate maybe, by the end of the school year, maybe there'd be 40, 45 students, and looking to, down the line in the future, would be growing that. So as any need and numbers increase, we would be looking to separate out any of those grade levels and add special education teachers, so that in the end, we probably have a dedicated kindergarten and dedicated first, second, third. Right now, for the start of the school year, I'm not sure how many to start, and that might be a small number, because it has to go through the IP process, and we would need to get parental consent.
Right.
But that would also give us time to kind of ease in and transition into working out any of the kinks at the beginning of the school year too.
Yeah, makes sense. The homeschool connection, that's going to be massively important. And I guess, my dabbling of information, I guess I would say, over the years of working with special education and our CPAC group, is learning that transitions are such a tough situation anyway in children's lives, much less when we're talking about different areas around special education. I'm kind of curious about, how are you envisioning that we're going to be able to keep that home connection going if we're really keeping it separate? Especially if we're creating all of these separate teachers, the paras over there, the ETL that's going to be that main person there. How are we going to help and make sure that we're keeping that connection going?
Thank you. So part of the work during the summer would be building the activities and developing that culture and climate. We anticipate that we would be having parent workshops and having regular activities and events to have parents be able to be included, and also probably giving feedback as well in the development of the program.
I guess, because as you were talking about home connections, to me, it's like if Jarwick's having their block party, I would think that we'd want to make sure that the Jarwick kids, if you will, are definitely included within that block party and like part of PTOs and things like that, because I just was trying to sit and think as you were mentioning that about like how would we continue that connection, because I would envision that it's going to be hard for parents then to feel like they're connected to that group. That makes
Yes, that
sense.
is a great point. So that's something that we would definitely need to discuss and figure out how do we build that community over at Hildreth? And if we have students from all 4 elementary schools, and having them coming together and building that community, and then, how would they tie back into the homeschools? Part of that, because of the caseload for special education, the current ETL that has the out of district would not be able to take on all of those students. So what John Fletcher and I are proposing is that the ETL from the home school would continue to be the ETL for those students. So that may be a way that we can build that connection, as far as they would still be the case manager for that, for those students. So I think that might be the way that we can have that connection, would be that the ETL from, Jarwick would make sure that they are reaching out to and providing information on any events that happen at Jarwick.
Yeah.
And same with the other schools as well.
You hop up to the mic, John. I could see you jumping.
Thanks. No, this is one of the things I'm probably most excited about, because some of you may know I was at a collaborative for 15 years. And like when we reach the point where a student needs to go out of district, envision they're going to a location where there's kids, there might be 50 to 100 kids in that program from 20 different communities. And even though we know those programs and we refer the kids there, we still lose some of the autonomy of our kids. They have their own mission. They have all those things, where as we develop this, all of these kids are going to be Marlboro Public Schools kids. We're going to have total control of the curriculum. We're going to have total control of the vision, of the mission. We're going to have that total connection. Any kid that goes out of district to a collaborative or a private school, they're allowed to still participate in their in-school, whether it's drama club or plays or sports. That'll be the same here. It's just going to be so much easier because they're going to be right here in town. And we're going to seize every opportunity for inclusive opportunities in that as part as they continue to grow and stabilize. So to me, those are the most exciting advantages of this, is that they're our students and we're going to keep them home in Marlboro.
Yeah.
And, more and more families are turning away referrals for schools that are outside of Marlboro, because they too want to keep their kids here. So it will really allow us to keep the flow back and forth between their sending schools and this own school. So to me, that's one of the things that I'm most excited about for this.
And I'm happy, thank you. I'm happy to hear, because maybe I misunderstood when you were talking about the ETL. It sounded to me as if you were talking about the ETL at Hildreth really being the person that was going to do out of district and that. And I was going, oh my God, that's going to be a lot of people. So I love the idea of having it be the homeschool. That to me felt like a lot better. So thank you.
Yes, the
for that
ETL at
clarity.
first was like, oh.
Yeah, I was like, oh my gosh, that's a lot. And then my other question was around EL supports. How's that going to be able to be handled as well?
So I think first it's going to depend on if there's any EL students that are being referred. And so once we have an idea of who the students are and what their needs for EL, then we would be able to figure out like what amount of time is needed and work within our EL teacher, the EL teachers that we have. We would probably be able to put those services in place with existing staff. And if not, we would come back to the school committee and let you know if we needed additional staffing for that.
The other thing that came to mind as well was around the progress monitoring of the students. And I think it would be helpful. I mean, I'm wondering, I'm pretty sure the parents are going to be wondering too, is like, how often will that be done to see how things are happening and moving forward so that they can get an idea of what's the potential trajectory for their child to make that transition back to the homeschool. And I know you're just figuring it out, but I mean, like, that's something that immediately kind of popped into my head.
Want to mention the data meetings though that we have implemented this year that are monthly? I know that's
Yes, so
that's
we-
an IEP process, but it's good to.
So we do have special education data meetings monthly within each of the schools, but particularly for parents and knowing how their child is progressing. I started out in a therapeutic day program before I entered the public schools, and usually there's a daily behavior sheet, tracking sheet, a weekly summary. So those are the types of communications that we would be envisioning that would be going home to parents. So there'd be ongoing daily feedback to parents, and so that student check-in at the end of the day, that's information that we would be also communicating to the parents so that they know how their child did during the day, and then a weekly recap, and then looking at, some monthly progress meetings. And then there's also the IEP progress reports that pertain to like their specific goals on their IEP.
Two more. Sorry, guys. CPAC, is it something where, and Jonathan, maybe you already planted the seed with some of the group at a meeting when I had not been there, but I'm thinking that it would be great to have this discussed with them.
Yeah, I didn't want to jump the gun until we had the opportunity to roll this out to you guys and get your approval on this. But we have our next CPAC meeting Thursday night, but it's the safety stuff. And then, once we get a vote and we get support around this, and absolutely, I'll have those conversations with them, let them be aware of them. And obviously, again, all the students that go there will still have access to the CPAC because, again, they're part of Marlboro.
Yeah. And then the last was transportation. That hit my brain as well.
So that would be special education vans, that minibuses that we would do. And I had worked with Mohammed as far as coming up with some quotes as far as within this, that would be in the special education transportation line. So we have some of that funding built in.
Okay. That'd be great once you would start to look at those numbers, because that starts to scare me a little bit, but thank you.
You're welcome.
So I'll riff off a couple of Catherine's topics along the lines of the buses. Do most of the students that you're identifying now as needing this program already take special education transportation?
I do not know. Probably not.
No, because one of the exclusionary things that we're looking at is like our students that are in connections and pathways.
Yeah.
Those students would not be eligible for this program, and the majority of our students that receive specialized transportation on reduced capacity vehicles are those students.
Yeah. So this is above and beyond. You're right to be concerned. Yeah. Also, along the lines of the progress monitoring, sounds like you've got good communication pathways with the teachers. How about the parents? What about the sending teachers? Because if we're talking about a shorter term for some of these students, and they potentially are going
To transition back
to the
So-
classroom, will you be constantly updating the teacher on the progress that the students make?
Yes, so probably not the specific teacher. Some students, like after the start of this year, going into next year, like they wouldn't have
Have
like,
a teacher.
Have a
Yes,
teacher.
understood.
But that would be part of the transition planning to go back where, for instance, a student might, let's just say it's a Jarwick student that's going to transition back into a fourth grade classroom. So it might be that they're going to go for an hour a day or start at the pause program and then go over to Jarwick for the end of the day. A paraprofessional goes with them and, having, and maybe even before that is just a simple introduction to here's your classroom teacher. There's a lot of transition activities that we can do to for both the teacher and the student. And for the teacher, would be, looping them in, having the special education teacher that's working with the student at the pause program, having a meeting with the receiving teacher, talking about like what has worked best as far as strategies within the classroom. Here's the de-escalation strategies that have worked best for the student. So we would have all that kind of like outlined for individuals. We'd have individual plans specific to the student to make sure that we're setting them up for success.
To one of the things you probably saw on the schedule, but we've worked in 30 minutes at the end of every day for clinical rounds. We thought that was vital. One, in case staff have to de-escalate, decompress themselves, but also that'll give us an opportunity to talk about the students on a daily basis. And that's where a lot of that information that Ms. O'Brien's talking about will be fed back to the schools, to the parents, to the families, to the other collaterals involved with the students.
Perfect. Great. Just a general question. How often the kids that are sent to out-of-district placements, how often do they actually come back? That's what I thought. I would have said 5, but that's good.
And that's not just Marlboro. That's not just Marlboro.
That's just in general.
Yeah, once they
Once
go out,
they
they never
leave,
come back.
they
which
never
is
come back.
Yeah, which is another real reason why we want to keep these kids here in our community.
I mean, it's better for kids and it's better financially. I mean, and we have seen, I've been sitting here long enough to know through the years that we have built capacity programs within our district that have saved millions of dollars over the years, I have to imagine, of kids going out of district.
It's going to be the latest one.
It's great. I'm thrilled. 5th grade science is tested. And I was just a little concerned that science, social studies isn't going to switch, separating them out until 6th grade. Will the 5th grade kids be
So
prepared?
that might be something, within the draft schedule, that might be something we can try to work with the Office of Teaching and Learning and
They
the
are still
elementary.
tested in 5th grade science, yeah.
Maybe,
I didn't
Yeah.
miss that memo.
and maybe it's that the intervention block is not, we take up that intervention block and instead have 2 separate science and social studies for that class.
Yeah, just putting it out there. And the intervention blocks, what do you foresee that block being used for?
Academic interventions. There's a specific blocks of times already for SEL therapeutic interventions. So that was specific to, our idea was that be specific to academic interventions based on their NWEA data, progress monitoring, their performance on the HMH unit tests and things like that.
And it could potentially also be used for the EL students, again, depending on the need for that.
All my questions.
Anyone else?
Thank you. I echo Mr. Fletcher's sentiment on the importance and value of offering this model to Marlboro kids and keeping them in Marlboro. I have 2 budget questions. I can appreciate how the staffing model needs to be defined a bit more. Within what's reasonable to consider, is that already captured in the budget?
These are all existing positions.
Okay, even the ones where it looks like there may be some flex based on what you're still working through in terms of electives?
So electives, that would still be something we may need to iron out. And the kindergarten, if we needed a kindergarten special ed teacher, that would be.
Okay. I think as it relates to the vote tonight, that's good context. Is there, related to the transportation question, order of magnitude in terms of budget burden and whether or not we think that's able to be absorbed in the budget?
The transportation, I feel that it would be able to be absorbed in what we already have budgeted.
Okay, thank you.
For instance, so to start the school year, there might be like 8 to 10 students. So we're looking at 1 minibus, and or we can do a half a bus, which is John, whoops, the half bus sizes that we had for the summer was that 20,
How long are they gonna be?
about 20 students. Yeah.
How long are the first one being picked up going to be on the bus if you're using one bus going all over the city picking up kids? That's
Yeah, it
right.
depends on, so that's something we would just work out with NRT as far as what we would need. Minibuses might be more practical for that, depending on where students live.
Yeah, I think from a logistics standpoint, you all are the experts in figuring that out. I think just big picture from a budget standpoint is what we're contemplating tonight for the vote, something that, you know, we've factored for, sounds like directionally, yes.
Absolutely. I think as far as the transportation is concerned, through our special education funding, we'd be able to pick up whatever the additional.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just have a quick question. So yeah, so just for clarification, can you identify the students' criteria? So I'm assuming everyone that has an IEP, the IEP team will evaluate every student, or is there a criteria that, you know,
So it wouldn't be an evaluate, so it would be an IEP team that is reconvening about a student that is struggling despite all of the supports and services that the student has access to within the school. So the IEP team reconvenes and they look at the IEP and everything that's being put into place. And they would be coming up with a decision saying, we've exhausted everything that we could do for the student here at the school. We need to look for something outside of the school. And that trigger would be reaching out to John Fletcher, reaching out to the BCBA, and having some consultation around, would that be a referral to the PAUSE program, or if we change the name to something else, or is the student's needs something different where it would be a referral to an out-of-district program?
I understand that part of it moving forward, but I'm talking about the initial setup. Like, I'm assuming you already have students identified that go into the program now?
There are students that that schools have been consulting about, that they have concerns about. Hey, like, we're to the point where we think we
Right, so there's already students already in existence. There was just no path for them. And this PAUSE program now,
There's about 45 kids that
Got it,
that
okay.
kind of come up on the radar.
Yeah.
that
Right.
principals
Yeah.
And I
prefer.
and I was going to add to that,
Sure,
like,
okay.
you know, like Ms. O'Brien said earlier, we do monthly sped data meetings with the building principals and the ETLs, the assistant principals. So we're monitoring a lot of these kids, their NWA data, their
Right.
attendance, their
They're-
behaviors.
they're already on the radar.
Yeah, and then additionally,
That's the point that's what I was going to say.
I meet with the principals and the
Right.
ETLs individually, build and base each month, and I keep a running radar list. So
Of course.
these kids aren't really going to be a surprise to us because we're
Yeah,
always
right.
trying different
Sure.
interventions.
Sure,
But yeah, we
sure.
have about 45 kids
Right.
currently identified that could potentially be
Sure.
eligible for
I guess my concern was that we're not reinventing the wheel by going through every single IEP and identifying our students. There already is a system in place. That's what I
That's
just
what
want
it's
to make
based
sure.
on.
So, right. Sure. Right. And I'm sure parents are already well aware that this is happening and they're on the radar and things of that nature. So this is no new surprise to anyone.
And as far as the FTEs or the positions, with the exception of, was already discussed, possibly maybe something with our electives, like fine arts, phys ed, those sorts of things, and or an EL teacher. And we may already have that within our existing budget that we can just schedule. We have to
Right.
look at that, depending upon the numbers and which
Sure,
parents
sure,
agree
sure,
to having
sure.
the children participate, et cetera.
Correct.
Almost everything you saw this evening, with the exception of those question marks, and whatever the special education transportation additional cost would be is in the budget.
Sure. I guess what's the downside? Like, if for a parent, like, why would they not want their child to go?
I think change is hard,
Sure.
right? Like you're
Not to put you on the spot anymore.
No,
It's
no,
more
I think
rhetorical.
you-
Like, why wouldn't you want the best for your child? I guess, but
It might just be that idea of leaving your neighborhood elementary
Sure.
school,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
and going to a different building. And sometimes there's stigma attached to things.
Right.
And people get
I get
concerned
that.
about that.
yeah,
And
That's
it's new, right?
Yeah.
It's always scary.
sure. Yeah, I'm just thinking back when my IEP days. You know, I went to a whole different private thing because we didn't have that here. You know, so like, I'm sure my parents would like to advocate for. But anyways, I digress. Yeah, Ms. Ryan.
My question is about, excuse me, is the intention that the program, now I'm coughing. Sorry, I took a breath the wrong way. Is the intention that the program would start in the beginning of the school year? And if so, you mentioned that students have to go through the IEP process. Is there enough time left in the school year, since we're already like the beginning of May almost? Is there enough time to go through that process in order to have some students enrolled for the beginning of this school year?
So our goal is to start at the beginning of the school year and having students enrolled. There are students that are on the radar. So we have some students that are on a waiting list for out-of-district placements. And so those might be students that we've already proposed, or the IP team has already proposed a therapeutic program that once this is up and running, that we could go back to the parents and say, you know, this is an option within the district. And I think, you know, I think 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, there might be students who are closer to being identified, where parents might be ready for an alternative program. And if that's the case, if we're starting, if we are starting with potentially 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, those older students might be able to help us also kind of work in the beginning on building like what that culture would be for the K-5 and kind of being like the.
Obviously, I'm not going to mention names or anything, but we have like one particular student that we had designated to go out of district in October. So we've already said we can't meet this child's needs. But because of the high need of kids going out of district and the minimal opportunities and seats available in those places, the student remains with us, and we've sent packets to 12 different schools. The out-of-district schools are more selective. There's waiting lists. They're saying no quicker. So we're still have the student in our program in our schools, and we know that we're having difficulty. So like that family, they're going to jump at the opportunity to say, okay, not only are we going to be giving my child what they need, we're going to be doing it a mile down the road instead of
Here.
in Worcester or Natick or Franklin. So those are the advantages. So yeah, so like I said, we have about 45 kids right now that we know that we're pretty confident the parents are going to
Yeah.
jump on board with this opportunity.
And then as far as DESE and the approval process, that's, I'm not sure what that timeline is or what the steps are that entails. So that will also impact what our start date is. The preliminary conversation I had today was that we should be able to be on track with having an approval by the start of the school year.
Sounds like you guys will be very busy.
Yes.
Sorry, one last one.
Yeah, I just want to add, hopefully we'll get updates once where that approval comes.
Yes,
Yeah, and where we are with the process. Yeah.
absolutely.
The question that hit me is, I'm guessing that the food services is going to be handled very similarly to ECC, where it's something brought in from one of the other cafeterias,
Yes,
you know?
I'm,
And not only that, yes, it's going to be set up just like here, but not only that, we're going to have our students in our life program as we look for job opportunities for those students who are going to be helping out throughout the day with the school.
that's our post-grad special education students.
That would be great. I mean, like, and I think that those touches are the things that are going to help to be more sellers, if you will, of helping to create a specialized program that's going to be the push, you know, so that people can be like, okay, my kid's going to be right here. They're going to get what they need. So.
And just add one final piece, but I think it's important to underscore because it was mentioned, but it was, I don't know if everyone just understands, particularly those at home, like the importance of this piece, but those clinical rounds, that teacher time at the end of the day is so critically important. We're asking the teachers and the staff in this program to do a very important job with students who need the right level of support. We need to make sure that we're giving the adults the right level of support. And I think that those regular clinical check-ins with the clinician on the team to check in and make sure that the adults are okay, that they have the supports that they need, and they're feeling like they're making progress and are able to be successful or not, right? And then we kind of loop back and figure out what to do. I think that's actually a really important part of the schedule that I'm really, really glad the team built in, because we have to take care of the adults that are taking care of the kids. So I just think it was a really good addition.
Sorry, you
See that
just,
everywhere.
you just made me think of something, though. We probably need to think about substitutes in a different way relative to this school. You know, whomever is going to step in if somebody
Sure.
can't be there, because that's going to be a different caliber of individual that's going to need to be stepping into that place.
Yeah.
So, sorry, thanks.
Anything else? I think we talked about this in quite a bit.
Thank you.
So let's move on, shall we?
So I do have Lindsay Castro's presentation up. So I would like to introduce our supervisor of SEL, Lindsay Castro, who will be presenting information on our new SEL screener that we're implementing this week, as well as a student culture and climate survey and a shift in our restraint methodologies that we use. We currently are using, have been using safety care, and we are transitioning to CPI.
Thank you. I apologize. Canva was down, so we had to switch to a PowerPoint, so the presentations might look slightly different. That was my technical difficulties. So I apologize for that, but thank you. And so, as Mrs. O'Brien said, I just have a couple of updates around our mental health screener, our SEL screeners that we are rolling out this week, as well as our shift to CPI. So our mental health screeners stay the same as what I presented last year. So we are continuing to use the Penn State Worry Questionnaire for our students in 3rd grade, as well as using the GAD-7 for our students in 6th and 9th grade. We have done it twice this year. So instead of just doing one screening, we did a screening in the fall and another screening again a little while ago in the spring. So we screened the students twice. As you can see from the data, the students that were identified, we identified around 100 students across the district that were showing higher levels of anxiety, and they were invited to participate in a Tier 2 intervention group, which is our Trails to Wellness, which is a cognitive behavior therapy program. So that the students that did participate in the Tier 2 group, you can see that they overall had a decrease of severity in their symptoms that we're able to address. These were students that were not previously identified to us as students on IEPs or students that were really struggling with anxiety. So this was a really nice proactive measure that we were able to get to students before they were really struggling with symptoms of anxiety and be able to offer a proactive intervention for them. So our plan is the same, to continue using the anxiety screeners in addition to adding our new SEL screeners that we have. So this year we have gone forward and we have we are working with SABRS, which is a social, academic, emotional, behavioral risk screener, as well as a culture and climate screener. So as Ms. O'Brien stated, we have rolled those screeners out this week. So our students have participated in taking it. It is for grades 3 and higher. So we're really excited about that. So all students from grades 3 through 12 are participating in the screeners. Hopefully they'll all get it through this week. There might be a couple of kids that have to take it next week, but we're hoping to get them all done this week. The screeners, there's 2 screeners that we're using in conjunction together. So the 2 of them go nicely during one sitting. It takes about 15 to 20 minutes for the kids to get through the 2 screeners together. We're offering the screeners during SEL or advisory or their core periods, depending on which school you're at. So it's during their regular SEL time, so it's not pulling away from any other academics. But what we like about the SABRS program is that it really supports MTSS. So we're able to take the information from the screener and really develop our MTSS systems and really look at where we need to increase our Tier 1, Tier 2, or Tier 3 supports. So there's 3 areas that are assessed. So there's a social, academic, and emotional area through the SABRS. So we're really excited to be able to have some more data that we can look at and be able to do better progress monitoring with students around being able to screen them. We're going to screen them twice a year next year. This year we're just doing it to get our baseline data, but next year we'll do it again in the fall and in the spring and be able to see where we need.
Can I just have you slow down
Sure.
just a little bit?
Yeah.
I can't take notes.
Sorry, I'll do my best. You'll have to keep slowing me down.
I love the enthusiasm. Just
Um,
a little bit.
Yeah, so the Sabres has 19 questions. It's pretty easy for the kids to do. They do it online. And again, it will give us some really good information about being able to support our tiered systems, and some more data that we don't have currently. Along with that, we have the culture and climate survey that we're doing too. This actually, it's good because it's a proactive measure to help identify hidden barriers that kids might be having. It looks at things about how kids feel about school, how they feel about their teachers, how they feel about their own learning, how they feel about being prepared for learning. And also one of the really great things is it discusses attitudes around attendance, and it can actually help predict chronic absenteeism in advance. So we'll be able to look for flags, like red flags for kids that might be having good attendance, but they're projecting out to end up with some attendance issues. So we'll be able to do some more proactive interventions around that. So that's really exciting. And like I said, we started it this week. So a lot of kids took it already today, and we've had some good preliminary data to look at, and to be able to start sifting through. So I'm excited about that. Am I doing better?
Good. Thank you.
All right, and then as Ms. O'Brien mentioned, we're moving away from safety care to CPI. This is a really exciting opportunity for us. I think along with DESE's new regulations for next year around timeout spaces and things like that, we really wanted to make our work more proactive, and be able to make sure that we were getting to students before we needed to implore safety care. So we were looking for additional resources around that. So CPI offers that. Also, we wanted to respond to the teachers' concerns around needs for more support around behaviors in classrooms and how to do that. So CPI really lends itself to that. It talks a lot more about the neuroscience behind behaviors and how behaviors manifest, and it does it in a really educator-friendly way. So it's really nice as a tier 1 intervention for all teachers to have access to just some of the basic information around the neuroscience and the behaviors. It's a much stronger focus on prevention, where safety care, we learned a lot about how to respond to escalated behaviors. CPI talks a lot about how to prevent escalation of behaviors, and how to interact with students in ways that prevent that stuff. It also aligns really nicely with the restorative practices that we have in Marlborough and that we've been continuing to follow through. CPI talks a lot about nonviolent communication, which is also something that restorative practices talks about with the restorative questions. It talks a lot about trauma-informed practices, which is also things that Marlborough has been moving forward with. So it aligns really nicely with a lot of the work that we've already implemented. Again, it has a more sustainable training model than safety care does. So safety care had a training model of 1 trainer to 10 participants in a class, which could limit how many staff that we could train at a time. CPI has 4 different areas that you can be trained in, depending on what your role is in the school and what your needs are. So not everybody's going to need all of the physical management piece, but there are much smaller roles, and different levels of it. And the trainers can have more than 10 participants in it. So it's a much easier model. So if it's just a verbal de-escalation training, the trainer could have a full auditorium going through some basic skills, as opposed to the 1 trainer per 10 students. So it's a more sustainable training model for us, which I think is great. And we have sent our district BCBAs to the train the trainer model already. So our district BCBAs have been trained in CPI and are ready to roll out the training for our staff moving forward. And so we were planning on training all of our 214 and 218 day employees after the school year, before the school year, and making sure that everyone is ready for when the students come back into school, that we'll have a lot of our staff who need more of the physical management piece trained before the start of the school year. So we're excited to get that up and rolling quickly.
I would also like to add, when Lindsay was talking about the customization and we have the different modules for CPI, that is going to be beneficial for our MEA members. I know teachers in general have been asking for a lot more professional development and training on de-escalation techniques. And now we don't have to try to piecemeal something together from safety care, which is, it's 2 full days, and that's really not what classroom teachers need. So we can have customizable modules of training that's specific for a classroom teacher, and then more intensive for, our behavior techs who are working with students who are aggressive on a daily basis, multiple times a day. So we're really, really excited to be able to move towards this and feel that this is going to be beneficial not only for our students, but also for our staff.
Good. Questions?
First of all, I'm going to say, love the screeners. I like that we're getting more consistent on getting that information. And my hope is that we're pushing it out further. When we were talking around MTSS a number of years ago, it was just making sure that we were pushing that information forward so that we were making sure, again, it's on that transition timeframe, that we're moving the kid from 5th grade to 6th grade, and that information is being shared up. I think that that's really critical. I'm not sure if that's really being executed or not. My hope is that these screeners will help to provide that insight, so that each teacher the next year has a little bit of insight, as opposed to the kid gets to their classroom and they don't have any awareness. So I love that. And I'm happy to hear about the CPI. I think the idea of the prevention is great, especially when over the years we've had discussions about concerns around how to handle something, providing the educators at least the right training and information puts them in a better position so that hopefully they can be handling it ahead of time, as opposed to reactionary. And any of us, you want to get ahead of something. So that's great. Thank you.
And Catherine, in response to like that, the information going from teacher to teacher, this year we have started with an open architects. It's a data dashboard. And that is new this year as far as a tool for administrators to be able to use. And we are rolling it out to school adjustment counselors and intervention coordinators. But basically it is taking information from Aspen, the attendance, the discipline, but also from our NWA dashboard, our MCAS. The results from these screeners will also be in there too. So that way a teacher can look at their class and look at a student and have all that information readily available to them, but not only for this year, but it will have historical data. So a teacher will be able to look at their student, like for attendance, and know whether or not that student has been chronically absent for like the last 3 or 4 years.
Thank
so
you.
that's been really helpful, and that's been instrumental in our data meetings that we've been having to be able to readily identify groups of students and be able to develop targeted interventions according to that. So that's going to be super helpful in having this data in that dashboard as well.
Incredibly helpful. I mean, I just remember sitting in some of those MTSS meetings, and that was definitely what we were hearing from the educators. Like, everybody just wanted that information so that you weren't, running blind. And that's fantastic. Thank you.
Just to add a quick piece, and that's what I hope the committee and the communities here is a lot of work being done to build continuity across the student services work, not just finding, additional programmatic pieces that we need to add, but the student services team is doing a lot of work in this space to really try to create an aligned, coherent, not just with the actual, screeners and data, but also, which you'll hear in some subsequent meetings, the personnel and how the personnel are working in a very succinct, tiered way to address multiple levels of challenges and needs that the students have. So you're starting to see that come together, I hope, tonight.
It just seems interesting how everything seems so siloed, and now it seems everything's coming together. Would you? Fair assessment for that? Or maybe we just didn't look at the data as well,
I think,
as before?
Early on this year, when Dr. Scaz and I had presented each of our, departments and really having, that collaboration between the two departments and having a lot of meetings, joint meetings, that has been super helpful.
Right.
Yeah, I'll echo Superintendent DeFalco. It seems like tonight is providing real practical examples of what we heard of in the budget, a shift in redeployment of programs to meet the current needs of students as well as the budget adjustments. So it's as expected, but still nice to see and worth acknowledging to the mayor's point.
Right. Anything else?
Just two things. One is I'm thrilled to hear about the dashboard capabilities, because I feel like through the years we've been collecting data, but getting it to the people who actually need it has always been a little bit of a challenge. So I'm thrilled to hear that. I just have one question, Lindsay. The Sabres and the Cultural Climate, did you develop those screeners yourself?
Oh, no. We purchased those screeners.
We did?
Yeah.
Okay. No, because I remember there was some talk about us creating our own screener because the ones that they were using weren't necessarily meeting our needs. So you found some.
Yes, right.
So we found some evidence-based screeners.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. No, we have created different screeners over the years on our own, but these are much better.
Oh, I'm sure yours were good too.
We could have taken the credit. We would have known the difference. And we got said kudos
I'm
to
sure
you.
they would have found out. They would have heard about it.
Renaissance the company? Renaissance? You said Renaissance?
Yeah, that's
The company.
Anything else for Miss Lindsay? No.
Thank you.
Thank you for your
Thank
time
you.
tonight.
Great,
Okay.
thank you. And last but not least, we have Sarah Casey, the Director of Alt Ed, who will be providing an overview of the revised proposal for the Alt Ed program that will be serving grades 8 through 12 at the high school.
Hi, everybody. Hi. Yeah, hi. My name is Sarah Casey. I'm the director of Alt Ed. I want to share with you our plan to support students in initially grades 8 through 10 with the potential of expanding to 11 through 12. This alternative ed day program is going to be housed at the high school, primarily in the business wing, but not just in the business wing. So I want you to keep that in mind as we go through this. Our mission is to provide a student-centered, relationship-driven environment where we're really honed in on the community and culture for these students, where we're focusing on rigorous grade level work to support our students moving forward through their high school career. We envision a community where all students are empowered to really re-engage with their learning and to finish high school with the multiples of options for post-secondary choices, whether it's college or career. Our key objectives are to improve attendance and engagement and to increase post-secondary readiness, and we're going to do that through increased advisory relationships and really targeted advisory relationships with our staff. We want to support students with their curriculum work by implementing and initiating project-based opportunities for the students to help them make connections to real-world opportunities in the curriculum that we are currently offering. And we will use individual plans for our students from grades 8 through 10 and beyond if we expand past 10th grade. So our goal is to increase student re-engagement and post-secondary readiness for post-secondary success. We want to have measurable growth in attendance, grade level work, credit attainment, and completion of these various pathways. One of the things that we can think about with this is it is a program, but it's also a pathway for our students from Wickham through MHS. And we'll know we're successful if our attendance data improves, our graduation rate improves, and all of our students leave this program with a documented pathway or plan for after high school. So who is this program for? We have about 30 students right now from Wickham and MHS that we are looking at who they're not currently engaged in school, and that can look different for each student. We have some students who are chronically absent. We have students who are coming to school frequently, but they're the students that are in the hallway. They're not in class for the full period. They take the extended bathroom breaks. And then we also have students who are sitting in our classes for the full period, and they're still not engaging with the work for various reasons. And we want to support all of those students. These are students who might have self-declared that in the future they plan on leaving high school, withdrawing from high school. And these are students that, as a team, whether it's through guidance, administration, we are recognizing patterns that present these students as a risk of dropping out of high school. They may not have a close relationship with their peers, and they may not have a close relationship with the staff. So the entry criteria is overall just a disengaged student. And so what we did is we did some research, is we spoke to these students that we are looking at right now based on attendance, based on grades, progress in their current course loads. And we saw some common trends through a survey. One of those common trends was that these students' champions is most often a family member, whether it's mom, dad, someone else. Their champion is someone at home, not necessarily a champion at school. We also saw that students had a difficulty in connecting with the school environment. They weren't really involved in the sports or the after-school activities. They didn't have that culture, that community built around them that students need and that we want for our students. Our students in the survey, they all said that they learn better in small environments with hands-on activities and learning experiences. And one of the biggest indicators that we saw was that earning money was really important to the students. And they saw the value in work and earning money and the importance to support the family who is their champion, but they didn't necessarily see the connection between what we're teaching them in our classes and how that will then help them moving forward to make money. So we want to highlight how we can support them with their goals as well. And this program is designed to support them in doing that. So students would be a strong fit if they are disengaged from traditional school. They would benefit from small classes, personalized instruction. They need the strong relationship, and they might need support with executive functioning skills, and they thrive on the hands-on project-based activities so that we can then support them with the connection between what school can offer with these projects, with the hands-on learning, to then with their goal with career, college, post-secondary opportunities. So what this looks like is we will use a blended approach. We are going to take our high quality instructional materials that we're already using in our classrooms, our current standard curriculums, and we're going to look for opportunities to put in project-based work, experiential learning for the students, and we're going to use MyCap to really identify the students' goals, starting from 8th grade, if not earlier, and what they need to do curriculum-wise to support them in meeting those goals long-term. We'll have a core focus on, business principles, an entrepreneurial mindset, so that students can make the connections that they aren't currently right now. This is a sample student graduation tracker for a student that would be entering next year. It's color-coded. You have your 8th grade in green and then your 9th and 10th grade in yellow. Our 8th grade would primarily be taking 9th grade coursework for credit. So they'll be doing the same courses as the 9th grade students, with the exception of civics because of the mass requirement for the civics MCAS. But what this does is this is how it mirrors the pathway, the accelerated pathway, where here's an opportunity for students to take high school classes as an 8th grade student, work through 8th, 9th, and 10th grade, and that's going to open their schedule by 11th and 12th grade, where they can take on more internships, work study opportunities, and that's what the students are craving that fit this profile. It also aligns so that students have easy on and off ramps. So if a student starts this program and halfway through the year in 9th grade, they don't see it's a fit for them anymore, they can easily slide to MHS proper and continue with the coursework that is being offered there. Or at the end of the year in 9th grade, they say, nope, I want to go back to MHS proper. Or if a student wants to come into the program, they can transition easily and not be behind in the coursework. It meets Mass Core. It has more than the required credits because we're starting it earlier. And it's not 100% mapped out necessarily as it would be for every student, but if you look at grade 12, there is a lot of room in that student's schedule to take advantage of other opportunities and connections that MHS offers, or we're looking to continue to offer or expand upon in terms of internships, dual enrollment, et cetera. So staffing is easy. We're looking to reassign 4 core content staff from MHS, 1 for English, math, history, and science. The guidance counselors, the school adjustment counselors, they're keeping their same course load. They're going to adopt an 8th grader. We'll look for office hours from the adjustment counselors to come into the business wing to support students throughout the day. But none of that necessarily is really changing anything than what we're already doing. They're just adopting a couple of 8th graders. And our students are going to be taking the electives, the same electives that are offered at MHS. So in the end of the day, students will have opportunity for elective courses, ELD, academic support courses if needed. So the MHS ETL, the paras, the special ed liaisons, the ELD teachers, those are already in place. So that will be a blended model. So this is a sample student schedule. All students will start their day with an intervention block, an opening circle, and then an intervention block. And this is really going to help the students set the tone for the day, set them up for success. It'll also give staff the opportunity to identify any student that's not there right at the start. It's a small group, it'll be very apparent, and we can take action in that moment before students start their core academic classes. The 4 core academic classes will be in a waterfall schedule so that if there is a student that struggles with tardiness to school, which does happen with this profile of student, they're not missing the same class every single day. And then the last 2 classes at the end of the day, those are stagnant and they mirror the MHS schedule so that the students will leave the business wing having been set up for success. They're going to go do their electives, their ELD class if applicable, their academic support, world language, and their internships, etc. The sample teacher schedule really mirrors the student schedule. Again, every core teacher will be having a core group of students at the beginning of the day to create that community, create that relationship right off the block, set the student up. Then they'll run through their academics on a waterfall schedule. And then in the afternoon, the teachers will have time in their schedule for child studies, curriculum work, PLC time, to identify the needs of the student for that day, the next day, and long term. And then the director of alternative education, since we just proposed two plans to you, 2 programs that involve the director of education, and I cannot be in 2 places at once. This is a proposed schedule where I would start the day, or the director of alternative education would start the day every day at MHS at 8 o'clock, work with the staff, work with the students, set the tone, and then be able to transition over to Hildreth to support the formerly known PAUSE program, and to help them over there while the MHS teachers. I know, right? To support the teachers over at Hildreth while the MHS teachers in the alternative program are working through their core academic schedules. There will always be a core academic teacher off in the business hallway to act as a lead teacher with the support of the MHS building administration. They're a key role in this as well. And this cannot just be the director of alternative ed. All admin will have to take a role and support this program. But I think with the schedule, the way it's designed, it's an easy lift. The director of alt ed can then transition in the afternoon to support the teachers PLC at MHS, and then transition back to Hildreth to support the dismissal, which can be, a more challenging part of the day. And it's flexible. With these programs, these are programs that we really need staff who want to take these on and are excited about alternative ed. And it's a special thing. And because you have staff that are working in the programs, it's going to work because you have that team, you have that community, you have that culture. So having 2 different programs working at the same time is a very doable thing because you have the staff support behind it. And so our next steps we are presenting to you. We will have the jobs offered. Like I said before, teachers will need to opt into this. We want volunteer teachers. We want people to be excited about it. Being at MHS, being part of the building, I'm excited about having that community maintain that's already exists at MHS, because we are right there, because our students are very much a part of MHS. They're still involved in the electives. So teacher recruitment is something that of a conversation that needs to happen, but I'm excited about it. And then with the staff and with the students, it's the same. We're creating a pathway for students where they haven't met with success yet, or they're not currently meeting with success. Here's an opportunity. It's in the same building. It just looks a little bit different, and it's what they're asking for, because we're supporting their needs and what they're asking from us. We will need to have some time dedicated to the staff for curriculum development, because there will be some curriculums that the teachers haven't taught before. For example, 8th grade civics, if it's a high school teacher that opts into this, they haven't necessarily taught 8th grade civics before. So we do need some time for curriculum development, as well as, because we are blending our current curriculum with PBL hands-on opportunities, we want to make sure that the staff feel secure with that. So that's where we're at. And we haven't named our program yet. But we want the staff that are opting into this, and the students that are opting into this, to own it and help support that creation of a culture. So we want the naming process to be open to them as well. Same with the staff and developing some of the day-to-day protocols, because this is a culture that the students don't feel like they have yet. So we want to make sure that we are creating that for them. Thank you.
Is there a lot of teacher involvement that want to partake?
There's been conversations. There's been a lot of questions, which is very fair.
Right.
There's definitely been conversations with people reaching out to me, people asking questions in their department meetings, like, what is this going to look like? What does this mean for my teaching load? So I am excited, if this moves forward, to be able to have a more concrete,
Sure.
here it is, this is what we're talking about.
And questions could equal excitement as well.
Absolutely.
So that's a good thing.
Absolutely.
It's engagement, right? Yeah.
It's engagement. Yep.
Yes, Catherine?
Sure. Thank you. Really thorough. So I appreciate that a lot. First, I guess I'll ask, when you were talking about the opening, is that going to be considered more like a homeroom almost, to like start each person's day kind of in one spot so they have something familiar?
We're looking for an opening circle, an SEL curriculum-based opportunity.
So everyone combined? That's what I'm trying to
Oh,
understand.
I understand. So the way I see it would be a Monday, everyone combined, and then individual Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, smaller groups, really targeted, focused on the student needs.
That's what I was just trying to understand. Like, are
Sure.
we community or little or whatever? Love the project-based learning. That was so effective when we were doing that for the STEM programming years ago, in so many different ways. So love that. Thank you. Heavy amounts with business, which is great. But we know we have someone retiring. So obviously we're going to need people to support that department, especially because there are a number of those classes that are listed on here that I know are fan favorites, and often kids can't even get into it. So I would say that that's something that I would just suggest that there be a lot of conversation about interest level, and that we have the availability. Only because I just feel like, I don't know, and you're nodding your head. So I just feel like I've heard a lot of interest around, whether it's entrepreneurship, financial literacy, where, the social media, a lot of people want to get into it. So, that may be something where we need to look at whether we can have an expansion to make sure that we actually have enough seats available to support the interest as well as this too. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
8th grade civics, would there be potential if somebody from Whitcomb has the interest that they might move? Just throwing it out there, because if they're ready to go and they have an interest, is that something to consider?
What do you mean? The teacher?
Yeah, the teacher, a teacher. You're talking about it. Maybe there's an 8th grade civics teacher out there.
So within the contract, the way this traditionally works is that we seek out volunteers first.
Right.
So it certainly wouldn't be closed off to current Wickham civics teachers. And I would hope that if there's a eighth grade Wickham civics teacher that would like to do it, that they add themselves to that volunteer list.
Yeah.
And then the administration would have to make a determination of who they have for volunteers and who's the best fit.
Right.
But I don't think it precludes them in any way.
Okay,
Like,
great.
that's- Yeah.
I just, it seems like, as you said, it's a certain person. Maybe there's a certain person out there that goes, I really would love to do this, I would, and I wouldn't want somebody to think that they can't, or they shouldn't think about it in that way, right? Like, let's be open-minded, growth mindset here, about like how to approach it in positivity.
We have some middle school teachers teaching at our night school right now too. So it's
Right,
it's a
yeah.
special person, right?
Right,
All dead, yes.
right. So like, there could be somebody out there that's listening and they go, oh, I can't. But maybe now they're going to go, oh, I could, like, think about it. The other thing was around electives. So that would be electives where they would be joining back in general population, seeing their friends here and there. So it really is still community building with whatever their interests are.
Right. This is not seclusion. This is not a behavior program.
Right.
Right. So we want our students to be 100% part of MHS. We're giving them the opportunity in the morning to really set them up, set the tone for the day, make sure that their core academics are where they need to be,
Yep.
and then they can go and participate in all of the electives, after school activities, etc.
Perfect. Love it.
May I ask an in the weeds question
Yeah.
about this? Lunch.
Lunch. Yep. So, Jody, do you mind going to the student schedule? The lunch is scheduled prior to the other lunches from happening.
Yeah, that was my question. Yeah. okay.
Yes. Which their if you look in their eighth grade, their class is split, which is another reason for the waterfall.
Yep.
But one of the most special moments at the night program is when we all have dinner together and we're sitting together and we're talking, and there's a group that plays Uno, and it's that community. And these are students who have self-identified as not fitting in or not feeling like they're a part of the community right now. And so that smaller environment is crucial to kind of creating that community.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And last but not least, I would love to put a little plug in here, because you said about many of these students are thinking about needing to work and make money. Through the MIAA, we learned about a program called Ref Reps, which is being taught as a PE credit, and it allows them to actually gain the skills of umpiring to be able to get out there and umpire and earn money. And I would love to talk to you about this program, because it sounds like it could align really nicely here, that could get them money and also helps to support building umpires. And it's really a great program. I actually looked into it and think it could maybe help you guys.
Great, thank you.
Not a problem. Thank you.
Can you just walk me through the eighth grade piece? I'm still not getting it. So eighth graders that are identified for this will leave Whitcomb and go to the high school early.
Correct. Similar to the accelerated pathways.
Right,
But they'll be there, they'll be at the high school for the full day.
full day.
Yeah.
So when they take, because in eighth grade they don't have electives,
They'll have electives.
but they're prescribed electives. They're like art and music, but they don't have like an elective block.
That's a sample. So they can opt into what they're interested in as space allows, but
With upperclassmen.
at the high school, yes.
Okay.
So they never report to the middle school.
Correct. They're at the high school all day.
Okay.
That's what I tend to do in eighth grade.
And we would be conscientious of the electives that we're offering to the younger students, and in terms of drawing one is traditionally ninth grade students, and supporting that in terms of the ages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then would students in this program still be eligible like in 11th and 12th grade with the internship stuff for like the EMT program?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they'll have so much flexibility in their schedule to take advantage of that. Yes, the
They will have had enough
courses.
credits, mass core wise, to be able to. 'Cause
Absolutely.
That takes away half the day or whatever, right?
Yes, a couple periods, but yes, absolutely they will.
Awesome.
So this talks about 8th to 10th only because we're seeing how the program evolves to the 11th and 12th.
Correct.
Got it. Okay.
and there's flexibility here for the students' needs, right? We have the flexibility of the students transitioning back to MHS proper.
Sure.
We have the potential flexibility of expanding the program to include the 11th grade and then the 12th grade. And then there are students, depending on the need, who might need the night program as well. But they'll all be set up credit-wise, course-wise, to take any of those options.
Right, because the social emotional support that they're going to get in this tight-knit environment, all of a sudden letting them loose in the big building might be kind of scary going from 10th to 11th grade.
Sure, but that's why by introducing that concept right from the get-go in the last 2 periods of the day, it's not a new concept.
Right.
They'll have the support, and early on with this program, if there's a student who's having a rough day or struggling, we have the alt ed staff in the building that they might walk them to their elective, or they might support them in the elective. We have that flexibility.
Yeah.
And then as they transition from this program to 11th grade, we're still right there, right in the business wing, if they need to come back and check in or access some of those supports.
Will the business teachers be relocated? Or
Yes.
they'll go be somewhere else? Okay, got it. That's it. Thank you.
Anything else? Good on this side? Oh, yes, Superintendent.
Sarah had mentioned this, but this has been like a labor of love here to put this program together. We've been meeting since September, trying to really get our arms around like what we're looking to do. And so we went to the students that we're trying to re-engage and ask them. And kudos to Sarah for going out and having those conversations, and being everybody together to collect information so we could put this together. I think that's one of the things that's probably the most important piece about what we do, Micah.
Oh, you're
No, I
right.
can't. It's not plugged in. Sorry. I know it hasn't worked all night. One of the
Just turn Dan's on.
yeah, sorry. Okay. Ooh, no, it's really whoa. Now it's really loud. I just was sharing that. Sorry, no, it's really loud. Was the program was really designed by the students, and going directly to them to ask the students, what do you need to really stay in and stay engaged with or re-engage in your learning? And so again, like, very good work to Sarah and the team for putting that together. Something else I just want to highlight, because this is a myth that we hear all the time. And so I just want to give a shout out to our families, because I'm sure all of you here, just like I do, that our families, many of our families, particularly those students who are not engaged in school, families don't care, they're not involved, all the things. That isn't true. We went right to the students. They told us point blank, my champion is my parent. It's my aunt, my uncle, my grandparent, my mom, my dad. And I just want to name that because I think it is all too often stated that these students are not succeeding because their families don't care. Notice they named their family member as their champion. We need to also be their champion. And so something that was really important to us in developing this program is to create a culture and an opportunity within this pathway where they see us as their champion too. And I think that that's a really important piece that we need to ensure is hooked into place to keep our kids engaged for the long haul. So Sarah, thank you for your hard work on this.
Anything else? Thank you, Sarah. Much appreciated. Okay, moving on, shall we? Yes? Okay, acceptance of minutes. Minutes of April 14th, 2026, the school committee meeting.
Motion to approve the school committee meeting minutes of April 14th, 2026.
Thank you. Motion's on the table and seconded. Questions, comments, concerns regarding April 14th school committee meeting? Seeing none, all in favor? Motion carries, it's approved. Thank you. Moving on to minutes of April 14th, 2026, the public hearing.
Motion to approve the public hearing minutes of April 14th, 2026.
Motion is on the table and seconded. Any questions, comments, or concerns regarding the public hearing on April 14th? Seeing none, all in favor? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay. Moving on to public comment. Is there any public comment going once? Seeing none, any public comment going twice? Seeing none, and last and final chance for public comment for the third time. Public comment. Seeing none, we'll close the public comment section. Moving on to action items and reports. We do not have any donations and gifts today, so we can scratch that and move on. And now we have the final vote, the K through 8 Hildreth Therapeutic Program, aka pause, aka something else. So we'll figure that out. So, yes.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the K to 8 Hildreth Therapeutic Program. My only comment I would like for us to see you regularly on getting some updates on this, since we're really in such a beginning stage of this, acknowledging that you're not going to have it all at once. I love the trajectory. I just think we want to make sure we're on the same page. So, sorry, mouthy.
I would agree. No comment.
Leave it alone, my friends.
Public comment's already over, so I will not go back to public comment. Was there a motion in there? I'm not sure.
What's a motion to approve?
Motion's on the table and second to
Thanks.
approve the K through 8 Hildreth Therapeutic Program. Is any other further comments, questions, concerns, discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? The motion carries. Congratulations, we have a new program that will be great. Moving on to reports of school committee subcommittee. Yes, Ms. Hennessy.
Thank you. Policy Subcommittee met earlier today. We really had some robust discussion. I'm happy about where we're going with it. An AI policy that a lot of people have put a lot of time in talking, thinking, trying to make sure we're going on the right path, as opposed to putting our head in the sand and ignoring that it's here. So first of all, that's a big shout out. Chris Henry, thank you very much. And Scott for kind of championing it from a technology standpoint and instructional kind of approach. And thank you to all of administration and MEA members on trying to jump in. So that's going to be coming to you soon, but we're just trying to like dot I's, cross T's. We are also discussing about cell phone policy, and I know people stop cringing when you're hearing that, but I think we want to make sure that we are taking an approach that's going to be really thoughtful for Marlboro community as a whole and for the district. So we're just trying to be really global about how we're approaching it. That's going to be hopefully the best fit for here. So just don't want anyone to say they were surprised when all of a sudden we come to that. We have a few other things we're touching upon, but those were some of the big things, and we'll have other meetings coming up. So thank you very much.
Anything else for school committee subcommittees? Seeing none, we'll move on to members forum. Mr. Atul.
Hello.
Hello.
Wanted to, I guess I'll update you on the wonderful robotics trip we had in St. Louis. So for past Monday through Thursday, Friday, we've been competing at the World's competition in St. Louis. Our team went 7-4-1 in qualifications, and we were top 20 in our division out of like around 90 teams, which was really awesome. We got to meet so many different people from so many different countries. And actually on that, we had a picking spot for our aligned selection where the top 16 seeds make elimination. So we were the 14th seed. And we picked a team from Mexico. And thanks to Anderson and Edgar and my very limited Spanish 3 knowledge, Spanish, we were able to communicate like very well. And that was like definitely a highlight of our trip, where we were able to talk to a team from a very different country. And even though like our differences, we were able to learn so much from each other. And we were the first upset of our division, beating the 3rd seed.
Wow.
Which was really fun. Awesome. I think it wasn't a close match, we'll say, but it was the crowd. You could hear the crowd; like it was pretty fun, and the support we got was amazing. We did lose the quarterfinals match, but it's still the furthest Massachusetts public high school team out of all of them, all of the 14 or 15 that qualified, and the second furthest overall in Massachusetts to make it.
Wow.
So we're pretty proud of ourselves, and yeah.
Yeah. Great job.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anything else? members?
I have something. The Marlborough High School Jazz Ensemble will be performing at the MAJE Gold Medal Showcase at the Hat Show this coming Sunday.
Right.
So I believe it's free, so anybody who's interested can attend.
Yeah.
Do you know what time it is?
I do. They're performing at 2:45, but my understanding is the event starts at 12.
Okay.
You might need to check that, but I'm told they're performing at 2:45.
The spring concert was last week, and if those who I was able to go, as well as other school committee members, if you have not seen it, it was a pretty incredible performance when all the trombone, yes, not that you're biased.
Trombone.
But as a group collectively, to see all of 137 students all on one stage to perform Les Mis, which is, I believe, the first that they've ever done it, and to do a few pieces from Les Mis was actually pretty remarkable. So if you haven't seen it, it's on WMCT-TV. I would highly recommend checking out just to see the pure talent that Marlborough High offers with their music department. So kudos to all of them. So I'm glad I got to go.
And Conductor Weldon didn't fall off the
Yes, yeah.
I
That was,
think Mr. Bourgeon was playing in that band, if I
okay.
read correctly.
Okay. It could have been. I know there's so many people to see. Yeah.
Oh, he was
But,
back there.
yeah,
You can
I'm
see him
sure.
on the on the
I'll have to rewatch it on the tape.
yeah, on the replay.
Go to the videotape.
Yeah. Anything else from members for you? Okay, let's go to number 9.
Move to adjourn.
Move to adjourn. It's on the table and seconded. All in favor adjourning. Motion carries. We are adjourned at 9:15. Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.